Our next guest was the youngest speaker at a NASDAQ event, and she's writing a book, all at the age of 10.
Pretty impressive. Victoria Branton here is with us to talk more about her message, and basically it's about how parents should talk to their children for future success. Victoria?
Yes, so it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Our pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, I mean, you're an incredible young woman, 10 years old. How did you get to speak at a NASDAQ event, and what did you talk about?
So when I spoke at NASDAQ, I spoke about how parents need to be more open and honest with their children and how they need to communicate more, but most importantly, to also teach them about things like honesty and money and hardship, because many kids are in their own world because parents haven't taught them about the real world. So when their parents haven't done this to harm their child in any way, they're trying to protect them by not telling them anything. But when their child is grown up and it's time and something's come up and they're supposed to do something and their parents haven't prepared them for it, can possibly even ruin their child's life.
What are some of the tough things you've talked to your mom or dad about?
So, my mom and I, there hasn't been many hard things, but whenever something comes up with my mom, she always tells me, because we have a strong bond and we trust each other, and she knows how to teach me.
So you obviously are very, very smart and very worldly. What are you writing the book about? Is it all about the same theme, about how you should speak to your kids and speak to them honestly? Yes,
so in my book it's also about how parents and children need to communicate more. So when parents and children communicate more, they start to get a stronger bond, and parents start to teach their children more. And when parents and children communicate, they grow a stronger bond and they learn more lessons. Where parents start preparing them more for the real world, which will turn their child into a better being.
But what about people who say kids aren't ready to hear a lot of adult things and about what's happening in the world, and there are certain things that they just aren't able to understand as a kid?
So many people think that children can't handle much, but what they don't realize is that kids understand way more than what parents think they do. And they can also, children can also sense when something is happening with their parents. And for example, when something's happening with their parents, when the children start sensing it and their parents aren't telling them, they start to get worried. Because if something's happening to their parent and their parent isn't telling them, the child might think, well, my mom or dad is not mentioning it, so it must be really bad. And not to mention, their parents are their whole world. So if the child thinks that something bad is happening to their parent, they might be thinking, something bad is happening to my parent, and if they're not mentioning it, it must be really bad. So if something happens to my parent, we can lose everything.
Right, they start to internalize and misinterpret what's going on.
But let's talk, Victoria, a little bit about like the events of the world and in this country. There's a lot of bad stuff going on. How do your parents talk to you about that kind of stuff? You know, world events and things like that.
So when something's happening, my mom and I, we usually just have a conversation about it. And if I don't understand, she'll help clarify it for me, put it in easier terms, until I understand what's actually happening.
All right. Do you have a title for your book yet? Do you know what it's going to be called? But you're still working on it.
All right.
You can't wait to see what happens with you.
And what's in store for you, Victoria. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And to learn more about this amazing young lady, visit her website, victoriabranton.com.
Big thanks to you, Victoria. Daytime will be right back.